purposely with the primary objective of perpetuating this crime against us, granting leeway for this banking system to continue to pretend to be a creditor when it is merely a publisher of evidence of our promissory obligations to each other.
Okay. And she also wants to know now, how could she possibly be inconsequential with a laugh like hers?
That's the best thing about her. Yeah, that's the best thing about her. And if we all could be laughing in our condition, laughter is a sign of intelligence, is a sense of humor is a sign of intelligence. So I appreciate that.
So does that mean the French are unintelligent?
They don't laugh?
None of the French people I've ever met laughed.
Well, I haven't known that, but
like I was recently in France there about 3-4 weeks ago.
Well, I've never seen Hitler laugh. I don't think I recall him ever laughing. A very serious guy. Only, and that's really a danger today. I'm not saying anything about Germany actually, but I am saying about economy. This failure is an opportunity for any 11th hour pretender to rise to power. Like Ron Paul is not a Hitler type, but he's an Austrian economist, so-called. He boasts of being one himself, and they're advocates of banking. So he's purportedly going to end the Fed, and that's why people are supporting them, because the Fed is bad. That's why it's not enough to just understand that banking is bad. You have to understand how it is bad, how it does bad to us, and how that inherently escalates into a terminal failure. And then you understand that an advocate of banking isn't really going to dissolve the Fed either. What is he going to do? Have his 12 private corporations be the head banks, or he's going to cut loose, money and interest to all the banks that want to participate in further stealing from us? Well, to what different effect? You're not really ending the crime at all. You're persisting in it, as if the Federal Reserve banks were somehow different. And this is something that his supporters never want to understand. And so in truth, while they pretend to be advocates of ending the Federal Reserve System, they're actually advocating and supporting a candidate who's advocating a persistence in banking. You see? And so that doesn't concur with the object of ending the Fed. If you're going to end the Federal Reserve System, you have to do this to establish an actual solution of its crimes against us. And what are those crimes, ladies and gentlemen? They're volumetric improprieties, inflation or deflation, and their inherent, irreversible, and therefore terminal multiplication of falsified indebtedness by interest. So in the case of the latter, we have to pay and retire principal from circulation and eradicate interest. And that takes all the profit out of any prospective economy to any purported banking system, which is just a mere privatization of our currency, of publication of our currency for this incredibly unwarranted and unjustifiable process of creating falsified debts that you gave up no lawful consideration. It's as if I could just here in my notebook write out evidence of every debt that's created in the world, and everyone has to pay me the debts. How preposterous is that? Worse, to subject every page of my notebook to interest, multiplying my notebook, every notebook that I complete, into 5 notebooks in 20 or 30 years, multiplying every 5 of those into another 5 notebooks every further 20 or 30 years, until eventually you're all paying me so much money for just writing all this stuff out in my notebook that, you all lose all your property to me and all your means of production. You're all out of work. You can't afford to buy food. You're all street people. And we say it's good. I keep good notebooks. It is funny, isn't it? It's
When you put it
preposterous
like
how
that,
stupid we are that we do this.
yeah, but when it's put like that, it's just like it's time for people to kind of like think.
Well, I really appreciate you, Rob, having me on your music program because it's important to get all this out and our issues right now are getting a website up which may cost us too much to host that we can't do it, and so we're trying to acquire server equipment. We do have a place to put it if we can. We need some, modern rack server units, quite a few
Hmm.
of them, and hard drives. And if anybody else can help us out, they can email me at mike.montagne@perfecteconomy.com, Montagne, or Skype me at PFMPE 2012, stands for People for Mathematically Perfected Economy 2012. You know, uh, we have a large Ruby implementation which may need to take even upwards of 10,000 signatures, which would require inserting 10,000 2 kilobyte MySQL or PostgreSQL database records per second. If this thing goes viral, we'll have to sustain that kind of traffic. So we're in the final stages of putting that together so we can host this worldwide mandate for mathematically perfected economy and absolute consensual representation. Get it online. You can sign it. You can run around your neighborhood with your phones, getting other signatures. We're going to force government to do this. Meanwhile, we're going to seize paying against these falsified debts to both government and to the banks. We're going to contest it in courts by allowing them to contest it in courts, which puts the costs on them, and the onus being, therefore, that they have to prove that they give up lawful consideration or there's no warrant for either laundering the principal into their possession or imposing interest upon it, which is the last thing that the banking system ever wants to go to court. I reckon that they're simply going to end up walking away from this and counting their blessings.
That's what you think's going to happen in the end.
Yeah. There's very few of them. There's very many of us. And even, the military or the police that they might throw at us are in our court. They're fellow victims as we are. And the real issue here is for people to understand the issues. Once you understand the issues, when the word is spread and we teach each other this simple obfuscation of our currency, we understand banking for what it is. There is no way in the world for banking to continue to persist after that, you know.
Uh-huh. Mike, just out of curiosity now, based on what we've discussed over the course of the evening, what I've picked up from it is I if I so decided tomorrow, I could sit down and say, okay, time for Robbie to start up a bank. All I need is a good notepad and a decent pen.
Yeah, except that they've written laws in effect that make them the only ones who can write the notebooks. You see, they've denied us a like right, which is why this mandate has to exist, which reasserts our like right to resolve not our actual obligations to pay and to retire principal from circulation, but the falsified debt to the bank.
Hmm.
This will get all these people out of, foreclosure. It'll give everyone immediate hope. And then when you want to own your home, we won't have banks anymore, Rob. They go away. They go away forever.
I'll
Uh,
happily stand and wave.
yeah. So now, you don't go down and buy a notebook. You know,
Okay,
remember.
I'll buy a new laptop. How's that?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Track record of it.
Yeah. Um, the thing about the laptop is, you could readily afford it under mathematically perfected economy. I mean, let's just say that the average lifespan of a laptop, considering technology as well, is like 7 years. Divide seven into the price. $700, $100 a year is what a laptop would cost. And so you could easily afford it. And the payments come right out of your accounts at the Common Monetary Foundry, you'd probably just carry a piece of plastic and use whatever kind of opt-in identification process, you know, retinal scan, matching signature, whatever, and you know, carry a piece of plastic and it links to your accounts, and piece of software looks at your earnings and says, oh, yeah, well, he makes $50 a week. But he can. That makes him easy for him to afford $100 a year. It's his laptop, you know,
Uh-huh.
and so the $8.33 a month comes out of your $50 a week, and the laptop's yours. You walk away without problem. Of course, nowadays, if it was financed on a credit card, you wouldn't be paying $700 for it. You'd be paying whatever,
Maybe.
$2,500, or in the end, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, and what are we doing? We're just getting the banking system out of the equation. Exploiters, unascended exploiters.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully, no. This is coming from me personally, but hopefully this thing kicks off.
Well, you'll be a big help in that, and when it's ready to kick off, if it goes viral, it's instant world change overnight.
Mm-hmm.
If you read this mandate, which is 30,000 words, I read it on the radio yesterday myself. Uh, it took me over 4 hours, well, right around 4 hours to read it, and but yet, if I was in government or if I was a banker, I wouldn't dare challenge the terms of this mandate. It's um, it's a it's a very unique document, even in history, really, because it proves our rights as sovereign individuals. That may have been done in the past, although I'm unaware of it. Um, but it proves our rights as sovereign individuals, um, and thus, in turn, proves our rights as sovereign individuals to do what government would do if it was representing us, which is dissolve these debts to the banking system, declare them null and void. That doesn't resolve us from an obligation to pay and retire principal that we still owe from circulation. But in resolving most of the debts of the world, that question or issue no longer remains. So I might further mention that, in the case of this $100,000 home with a 100-year lifespan, what I actually advocate is what I call de-escalated rates of interest, or not interest, excuse me, but depreciation, where you pay enough more in the initial stages of a lifespan that it warrants or encourages full consumption of all property. So instead of paying $83.33 a month for your brand new $100,000 home, you'd probably pay in the neighborhood of $250 a month. But what that means, in particular for younger generations, is that in the end of the lifespan of that same home, being as its principal has been paid down at an escalated rate over the first 3 quarters of its lifespan, that in the last quarter, $100,000 home with a 100-year lifespan might cost you $7 a month. You see, so that's what you would own a home for, if you so desired. You see, so.
Even I could afford that one, Mike.
Yeah, yeah. Even if we cut your pay in half. So, yeah, see, and that's important for people to understand, because there's no excuse for people to be homeless, and there's no excuse either for people to be out of work. We can all work. We can all make enough to feed ourselves and keep ourselves in a warm house. And even by cutting our hours down to a half or quarter what they are now, we can just
Hmm.
share the work that exists. And of course, in our natural interest in restoring industry that's been destroyed by this obfuscation of the currency, there will be plenty of work to go around. You know, other things will happen as well because people can engage in business themselves. It will be difficult to find people to employ